Some movies are so bad, they're funny. And some movies are just so bad, they're just bad. Such is the case with today's review. Teruo Ishii's 2001 film, Blind Beast versus Killer Dwarf. I have to preface this review with saying that I never even wanted to watch this movie. For Christmas, I asked my dad for the film Blind Beast, but what I got was Blind Beast versus Killer Dwarf. Totally different films, totally different directors from totally different eras. But I figured, well, it's from the director of The Horrors of Malformed Men, and I enjoyed that film. It stars Shinya Tsukamoto, who I think is a great director, and I've seen his acting stuff too, so that was exciting. So I figured, alright, we'll give this a shot. The film revolves around three central characters. There's the Blind Beast, who is this scrawny man who abducts an erotic dancer and takes her to his strange and fascinating lair where sexual activities pursue. There's the Killer Dwarf, this rather short fellow who is also running around causing a muck. And there's this detective played by Shinya Tsukamoto who is trying to solve the mystery of some missing women and figure out how this is all connected. Let's start with the good points. The music. Music was alright. Some of the makeup and costumes were, well, not all the costumes, most of the costumes were pretty gaudy looking. Shinya Tsukamoto, not his best acting role. Looked ridiculous in that purple outfit. Alright, bad points. The story, the acting, the way it's shot on digital, it looks extremely cheap. This is very low budget. I really didn't have any expectations going into this film, except knowing that it would probably have some pretty sexually explicit scenes and maybe some over-the-top violence. And yeah, that's pretty true. There are quite a few nudie scenes, which is typical of this director. And there's a few violent scenes, but not too many if I recall. I did fall asleep initially the first time that I watched it, which is typically not a good sign. So what else is there to say about this film? It's a shame. This was the last film from this director. He's since passed away. But I suppose, what can you expect from a film where the main draw is to see a very skinny blind man wearing some sort of metallic underwear sexually harass a woman in this strange playhouse that he's created with various human body parts all over the walls? What can you expect? The DVD is somewhat of a mixed bag. It comes to us from Panik House Films. They seem to be establishing a reputation as delivering shock cinema to the West. And there's an alright amount of extras. There's a 13-minute behind the scenes, which was kind of nice. Kind of explains that the director wasn't looking for people that were experienced to be in these roles, but rather if they had a love for cinema, and apparently taking their clothes off. There's trailers, production galleries, still shots and whatnot. Standard affair. The presentation-wise, the audio seems to go in and out in some scenes where the characters' voices become extremely hard to hear, and the actual subtitles I found problematic in that the translation was not off, but very cut and dry. Oftentimes you'd have a character speaking for a very long period of time, and you'd have a very basic sentence at the bottom, which essentially, if you were paying attention to what they were saying, said what they were saying, but it didn't embellish it enough to get all the little details of what they were saying. In the end, Blind Beast vs. Killer Dwarf is not a movie that I can recommend. I was hoping that at least it would be a film where I could go into it as like a guilty pleasure and it would be so bad that it's funny and oh, I have to show all my friends. No, I don't want to show this to people. I don't want people to know that I watch this. Well, besides you YouTube people. I don't want, this movie is just bad. And that's it. That's this week's review, so hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a few things. We'll see you next time. Normally this is the point in the video where I make some kind of spoof, but I thought, how do I spoof this movie, and how do I do it while not being offensive to either blind people or short people? But then I realized, oh, this movie is just offensive, not to those people, but all people. It's kind of offensive to my intelligence. So instead, hold on a second. We're gonna watch this little guy scoot across the table. How does that sound? Sounds like fun. Wind him up. Woohoo! Look at him go. Alright, let's let him come back. Oh! That was fun.